Hey, everybody. Welcome to the BLIP podcast, where we help agents build successful agencies. My name's Josh Berg, and I am your host. So thank you so much for joining me. Last week was my very first solo show. This was my first ever show on my own with no guest, just me. And like I shared last week, I had some anxiety around it. I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out, but I was pretty happy with it after it was done. And the best thing was I got a lot of great responses from it. A lot of good feedback, a lot of encouragement, and it seemed like for some people that they really enjoyed it. And so I wanted to do one more. So today, doing another solo show. And what we're going to be talking about is the importance of having a daily routine. I've done a decent amount of research on this, and I have a daily routine for myself that I follow pretty rigidly, especially in the morning. For me, that morning routine is gold. So let's talk about the why to start. So let's just get into it. There are four main reasons why you should have a daily routine. The very first one is that it makes you more efficient. So you don't have to waste your time figuring out what is coming next. You just move on to the next part of your routine. If it's already structured, say there's 5 pieces to your morning, or whatever you're talking about, 5 pieces. When the first one's done, you move to the second. There's no, hey, what should I do this morning? What should I work on? What things should I cross off my list? It's already set up. There's no thinking. I guess let me say this. So I am a 5 a.m.er. So I get up at 5 a.m. Almost every day. I try to. And it's not the easiest thing in the world, and it definitely wasn't easy when I got started getting up at 5 a.m. It was way worse. Now I'm used to it. It's great. It's my favorite part of the day is early in the morning. But when I first started getting up, the reason I started getting up was because I didn't have enough time in the day to get everything done that I needed to accomplish. So I thought, hey, I hear about these people getting up earlier and they're seemingly doing a lot more with that time. So I'm going to get up early. So I would get up early and I would get lost in Facebook. I would start emailing people back, and I was all over the place. I did not have a routine. All I had was an alarm clock set, get up early. That's it. So anyway, it was super unproductive. And before I knew it, every day, my family's up, that time is over, and it was just wasted. Totally wasted on things I didn't need to do. So I started implementing a daily routine, a pretty regimented one in the morning, and it was night and day. And now it's my favorite time of the day. Like I said, waking up and basically crushing your day before most people are out of bed is one of the best things. You start the day off on a high, and it sets the trajectory of your entire day on an incline, on a downcline. Anyway, it's really, really great thing to do. So now that I've been having this daily routine for a while now, some of the things I've learned from it, as far as the efficiency goes, is when I'm doing my routine, when I'm doing these things over and over, these different steps over and over again, my speed between these items, like I was talking about earlier, is so quick. My brain already knows what that next step is, and it's already prepared for it before I'm even consciously thinking about it, because it's been the same thing over and over and over and over. So my ramp up time between switching gears between each thing I do in the morning is almost non-existent, because it's hammered into my brain. My brain's already prepared for it in advance. So one of the things I do in my morning routine, one of the very first things I do, if there is something that I don't want to do that day, some work thing or whatever it might be, I try to hammer that out right away. Very first thing before anything else. What it does, if you get that thing done, that one thing that you don't really want to do that day, if you can get it done first thing, you've already climbed a mountain. And now the rest of your day is all downhill. And you've already won. You already took care of that thing you didn't want to do. And no longer is it looming down the road at some point in the day. You've already taken care of it. You've gotten rid of that big monster that you don't want to fight, the thing that you hate, and it's over. So definitely some advice I would have for you is start your day off getting that thing out of the way so you can focus on the tasks at hand and not have to have your mind keep shifting to that thing you don't want to do. Get it done right away. All right. Number 2. So it gives us structure in our lives. So structure is good for us. In fact, it's great for us. Think about a kid. So this has nothing to do with parenting the right way or the wrong way. But from my experience, when a child knows what's coming and they have the structure in their life or their day, they're less likely to act out or throw a tantrum. Obviously, there's no cure for it, so it still happens usually, but the frequency is significantly reduced. So when my kids were younger, one of the things they hated to do was go to the grocery store. Like, it was just always a nightmare. They were always like grabbing stuff at the shelves and, flipping out. And so what we started doing is preparing them in advance, letting them know, like, hey, we're going to the grocery store in a little bit. Hey, we're going to go to the grocery store in 30 minutes. Hey, we're going to the grocery store in 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever. And so they could process that they're going to go do this thing. And by the time we got there and did the whole trip, they were significantly better behaved. So when you don't know what's next in your day, we get the same sort of feelings. Our brains get anxious, and that anxiety just spills over to our lives. It's not just for the bad stuff. It's for the good stuff too. But your brain doesn't need to get over some anxiety about things that you're excited about. Usually it's the negative things or the things that you don't like to do that, if it's part of your routine, you have less anxiety about it. So a little bit about my morning routine. One of the things I do is go for a 5-mile run. It's not exactly 5 miles, and I don't usually run it straight without stopping. I'll get into that later, but I don't like to run. At least I should say I don't like the start of a run. Once I'm moving, it's great. I don't mind it. But taking that first step is so incredibly hard sometimes. So when I know when it's happening, like the time I'm going to go running, when I know that in advance, it makes it so much incredibly easier. Instead of having having it be on my checklist of things to get done that day and having, some anxiety about, I got to go do this thing I don't want to do. I got to go do this thing. And my mind going there during the day, I know exactly when it is. I know what to expect. And for me, it's one of those things I don't like to do or I don't want to do. So I put it first in my day. It's one of the things I do in my morning. And I check it off my list and I crush my day before it has even started. So there's also something to be said. So, okay, I guess let me say this. A lot of people will say, oh, you don't want your whole time to be structured, because if your whole day is structured or you have a routine for your entire day, then that stifles your creativity. And, creativity is when you can, I guess, when you're being creative, that's when you can really do a lot of your best work. If you're talking about ad copy or writing emails or thinking outside the box, direction of your business, bigger picture stuff, you want to have some creativity there. And so if everything's structured and routine, then it's going to be hard for your brain to shift over to that creative mode. So what the workaround for that is to have structured, unstructured time. So that unstructured time, it's kind of an interesting one, structured, unstructured time, but you plan for having unstructured time. plan for time for your brain to wander, to do the things that you want to do, like, lose yourself in Facebook, or just respond to emails maybe you wouldn't normally respond to, watch a video about something that isn't necessarily important for getting your job done. But definitely work into the routine some unstructured time. All right, number 3. So I've kind of already mentioned this or touched on it in the first 2, but the third one is having a routine saves us time. And this is huge. This is a big one for me, probably the biggest. I mean, it's why I started getting up early, because I didn't have enough time. And I'm turning 40 in a few months. I know, it's crazy. I'm getting old, and I feel great though. Like, most people say, when you hit 40, and maybe it'll happen. Maybe I'll wake up on my 40th birthday and throw my back out or something. But I feel great. I'm healthy. I exercise. I get to see my family all the time. It's great. My life's great. So I'm realizing more and more that our time on earth is short, and I want to live the best life that I can and do the most with the time that I have. So this is a big one for me, especially right now. And I suspect the older I get, the more important it'll be. So knowing what's coming next, having a routine, a schedule that you follow daily, it allows you to maximize the time spent doing those things that need to be done and minimizing the time in between. So I'm not saying that all your time should be spent getting things done, but if you can accomplish the same amount of things or items in a smaller period of time, it frees you up to relax more, to spend more time with your family, to vacation, whatever other thing in your life you want to accomplish. So that was number 3, saves you time. Number 4, having a routine helps you achieve your goals. So I said this on last week's episode, and I'm going to say it again now. If you are not setting tangible goals for yourself personally and professionally, you're not doing it right. I mean, I don't take much of a stand on most things, but goal setting is one of the things that I am wholeheartedly behind. I fully believe in it. And, this is something that I love. I love talking about. I'm pretty passionate about setting goals. So, maybe I will next week do a show on goal setting, because I've done a decent amount of research on it, and yeah, that'd be a good one. Maybe I'll do that. Anyway, so without getting too much into it, set your goals 5 years out and work backwards until you get to those daily tasks that you need to do to achieve that goal. Whatever it is, break it down to the daily tasks. Take those daily tasks, set them as a priority right behind that big ugly monster that you take care of first. The next things that you take care of should be the things that are going to help you achieve your goals, the specific things. If you can do them in the morning, great. Anyway, make sure you set aside that time and prioritize those things. Reaching your goals are so important. And I'm not just talking about your professional goals. I'm talking about your personal goals too. So some people don't go to work in a traditional setting. Some people stay at home with their kids, or some people, whatever it might be. If you don't have professional goals, you need to at least have personal goals. The sense of accomplishment and that excitement of actually hitting your goal, looking back and seeing the steps and the work that you went through to get to where you want to be and achieving that, it's incredible. It helps you achieve your goals. So I thought I'd take a minute and basically just go over what my normal routine is, at least in the morning. I'll talk about the work and the evening as well. But right away, the first thing I do in the morning is I wake up at 5. And at first it was really hard. Now it's not so hard. It's actually pretty easy because I've been doing it long enough. But anyway, I get up at 5 a.m. And the reason why I get up at 5 is I touched on it earlier. It gives me more time in the day, right? It gives me more time in the day, uninterrupted time to get the things done that I want to do. I could have tried tacking on more time in the evening. So usually I get home after 6 o'clock. And when I get home, though, that's time I get to spend with my kids before they go to bed. And then the evening is time I get to spend with my wife. And so if I tacked it on at the end, I'm cutting into their time or my time with them. So for me, getting up early made so much more sense. So anyway, I get up at 5, and first thing I do is I drink a little bit of water. And my body's usually a little dehydrated from the night, so drink some water, walk out to our living room, and the next thing I do is I turn on a light and I read a chapter or two in my Bible. Then I look at my schedule for the day. So I just make sure I know everything that's coming up. Usually the night before, I've earmarked something for the next morning. If something that I don't want to do, I will take care of it right then. Look at my schedule, take care of the nasty thing I really don't want to do. And then I'll usually read a little bit of something or do some writing. Because that's my time when I wake up. It's quiet. I have no interruptions. And I can take care of those things. Then I put my shoes on, I listen to a podcast, and I go for a 5-mile run. By the time I get home, usually my kids are up, and then I just make them breakfast. Everyone gets ready for the day, and then I head out to work. So I have my work all day, and I usually leave work around 6, get home, have dinner with the family, like I said earlier, put the kids down, and then spend the rest of the evening with my wife. So that's the gist of it. So pretty much every day of mine looks the same as far as from a routine standpoint. Some of the details change, but like in the morning, it looks the same. Some of the small slivers of things I do might change, but I allot a specific time for each thing, and I set a timer for it. Oh yeah, I didn't talk about that really. So one of the other things is, especially in the morning during that routine, I set a timer for the different tasks that I'm doing so that I can do the task. And then when my timer goes off, it's done. And then I move on to the next one. And so I don't have to think about, am I going to have enough time for this? Am I going to have time for that? It's already scheduled out. Like, got a timer going. So that's pretty much what most of my days look like. Some days are different, obviously, but I try to stick to a schedule similar to that, especially for my morning routine. But, probably looks different from yours, and that's okay. The important thing is to have a routine, especially a morning routine. That morning routine, it's going to set the stage for the rest of your day and set you up for success. Thank you so much for sticking with me. I really appreciate it. I know this isn't my normal type of show, but I hope it was helpful. If you want to talk more about routines, message me, email me, get in touch with me. I'd love to give you some pointers, especially if you have detailed questions or whatever. Let me know. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the show. If you haven't yet, leave a comment, leave a review. It really, really, really helps us, and I really appreciate it. Thank you again so much. See you next week.